tonight. Lord, we put this technology all into your hands. We just pray that you would be above it and that we could clearly articulate the things that we have found successful, and pray that it would be a blessing to those that have come to join us, Lord God. I pray that we could just have a great time, a good time, Lord, practicing these activities that we have found helpful. And we look forward to having feedback from both Jen and from Cindy, Lord God. And we again just give you this whole workshop, Father, this training, and pray that your Holy Spirit cover it all. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
All right. All right. So why don't you jump right in, Maddie and Pam?
Okay, well, we're hoping that you have seen our last meeting. We have been building up for tonight over the last 5 months. I think this is our 5th or 6th session, and we've talked about how to set up, organize a ministry in your church, and then we've gone over lesson planning for a class of about 90 minutes. And tonight we're excited because we're going to get to the fun part of talking about the most important element of an ESL lesson plan. And we're calling them CPAs. They're communicative practice activities. And just to go, can we go back, Sandy, to that previous slide? If you've missed out on the first 4 of our online trainings, this is the website that you can go to catch up. There you go, bcne.net/ESL, and you'll see all of them. So we encourage you, not because we're so great, but it's because we've really put some thought and prayer into what we've presented. And tonight's lesson builds on what we've done prior. So now we can go ahead and talk about what in the heck are CPAs. Communication practice activities. Well, they are structured activities that are going to give a framework to your ESL students. They are not memorized, hello, how are you, I'm fine, how are you? They're not memorized dialogues, but rather they are structured so that they can practice the 8 to 12 new vocabulary words of your lesson. And again, we're referring back to the lesson planning framework that we've shared the previous two evenings. Too much vocabulary is overwhelming, not enough is challenging enough. So trust us when we say 8 to 10 new words. So that's an opportunity to practice. And we've said over and over again, the most exciting ESL class is the one in which you're not talking. It's the one in which the students are talking. And 40 minutes is what these activities should take up in an evening. And that means that you need to go in prepared. You need to go in to have more activities than you think you're going to need, so that if one falls flat, or if you've forgotten an important part of it, you've got another one to go to. But plan on 40 minutes of good, good, structured activities for your students to practice their new vocabulary. We're going to want to use more than one type of CPA during the class, and you're going to give them a framework in which they can use their new vocabularies. Unlike guided practice, where the teacher models, what you want the students to say, the teacher's role here is not to correct, it's not to say much, it's just to make sure that they're speaking English and to wander around sort of diagnosing, listening to what they're getting and what they aren't getting. So the teacher demonstrates, very different from guided practice. In CPA, the teacher demonstrates the activity so that the students understand what they're to do. And you're going to see that tonight, because once we get through this initial, what is CPA, what are some different activities, we're going to be interactive tonight, and you're going to get to practice. So we wish we could have everyone, talk at the same time, because that's what a good ESL classroom sounds like. But technology is going to limit us a little bit. So you can structure your communicative practice activities in several ways. You can do them with pairs. Have one person start and the other one respond. You can put small groups of 3 or 4 together And then you can use the same activity, just change up the pairs, just change up the groups. But the important thing is that each student get as much opportunity to interact as possible. It makes it more interesting. It leads to greater participation, because the students are really the ones who are making the language their own, and they make it fun. And you cannot expect the same student to be with the same pair or the same group for the whole 40 minutes. And as I've said, you can use the same activity 2 or 3 times just by saying, okay, find a new buddy, change it up. I've mentioned plan more than you think you're going to need. Small pairs or groups of 3 if you have an odd number. And the goal is for the students to interact with as many other students as possible. Pam, have I missed anything?
I don't think so. You're doing great.
Okay, thank you. And we're about to stop. We're about to stop talking here so that we can involve you guys. So the role of the teacher is, again, to explain what the expectations are, to demonstrate the activity. If that means putting up a little bit of some sentence frames on the board, or to set up a scenario, that's what the teacher's job is, to demonstrate the activity until she or he are sure that it's understood. And then what is the next step? Sandy, would you put up the next slide? I've mentioned this. You circulate among the students, listening to make sure that they're understanding and not speaking their native language, because that kind of defeats the purpose, and we want them speaking English. And yeah, and not to correct errors. That's the big point, is just to let the language come naturally, because you can learn a lot about the errors that the student are making just by listening. So, okay, so should we begin? Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay,
Are we ready?
And again, we want, if the participants wouldn't mind being part of the activities, what I would do is ask, excellent, thanks Jenny for putting the video on. If you wouldn't mind too, Cindy, we want to try to make it as interactive as we can. So if you don't mind, doing that way we can make sure that you are part of the class, part of the group. But if you don't,
that's better. Thanks, Jenny.
There you go. Very good.
Yeah, okay. Just click on the video.
Yep.
So we have 5 examples of communicative practice that we want to share with you that are very low in teacher preparation and a big bang for your buck. And it's going to provide situations where your students can just communicate, can really practice their new vocabulary.
Okay, so the first one we're going to do is bingo. You might have done this, but I think this is a great one, and I use this for the first day of class. So you're going to take one of your blank pieces of paper, and
did Sandy? I didn't hear Sandy ask that. we hope that everybody has 2 or 3 pieces of paper. Good job. Oh, that's right. It went out as an email. Correct.
That's right. Yep.
That's right. Thanks, Sandy.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. And as we're going to do a.
Hold on.
Just a minute.
Do you want me to do the?
No, just a minute. So as you're making this bingo, okay, we're going to go through each one, and we'll go through who we think it's for, the levels, and the materials that you're going to need. And hopefully you'll think, oh, this is no big deal. Okay, so go.
Can we go back, Sandy?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. So this bingo, we had agreed that I was going to read the bingo, but I didn't know she was going to explain it that way. So this is an activity. If you're taking notes, bingo, it's for the whole class. It's a whole class activity. This is not just a one-on-one. It's for any level from beginning to more advanced, and you'll understand that you can make it more difficult for the more advanced. And all you need is a bingo grid. We shared one that has 9 squares, but if you know you're going to have 12 students, make it 4 by 3, or make it bigger. You're going to need a basket or something to collect the names. We've got this cute little basket here that Pam has written down the names of the students on. And so everybody gets a bingo grid, and Pam's going to explain.
Okay. So if you are my students, I'm going to pretend that you are. Okay? Again, this would be one of my first activities, and it's a great assessment. So I'll say to you, in this bingo grid, pick one box and put your own name in that box. So I put mine at the bottom, but don't put it in the same place. There's no right answer.
That's right.
Okay?
And I put mine, this is what makes this work, is you see, I chose to put mine in the upper left. So anywhere on the grid you want to put it, it's fine.
So then, as we would be in class, we would be walking around the room, but I'm going to do it with Maddie because she's right here. So I would say, hi, I'm Pam. What's your name?
Maddie.
And how do you spell that?
M-A-D-D-Y.
So I pick a grid, any grid, and as they spell their name, I just pick a box that I want to put it in. Then I would move on to someone else.
Or I would ask you,
True.
hi, I'm Maddie, what's your name?
My name's Pam.
And how do you spell that?
P-A-M.
So I pick another square and I write P-A-M. And at that point I'd say thank you very much, and I would get up and go and say, my name's Maddie. Jenny, what's your name? And how do you spell that?
Right. Do you hear me?
I can, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My name's Jenny.
And how do you spell that, Jenny?
J-E-N-I.
Okay, J-E-N-I. Okay.
What's your name?
My name is Maddie.
Hi. How do you spell that?
M-A-D-D-Y.
Thank you.
Now just realize that as Jenny and Maddie are doing that, I'm saying to Cindy, hi, I'm Pam. What's your name?
Great. Everybody's doing it.
Yeah, at the same
Everybody's
time.
doing it at the same time. So there's a lot of noise, and it's just a low,
Yes.
low effective filter. They're not getting nervous about it.
Right.
Cindy, can you hear us?
She can hear, but she can't, she doesn't have the capacity to speak.
Okay.
But she's seeing while they were saying what we're doing.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
We just wanted to feel in part of the class.
Yeah.
Okay. So you would go around your classroom and do that. You would fill in, okay, all the blanks with different names.
Okay.
And what I do as a teacher is while they're doing that, I make up these little cards, little sheets of paper, one for each student in the classroom. Okay, so I have Maddie, Jenny, Cindy's in here, Sandy, and myself. Okay, so as they're doing that, I usually have time to do that.
Okay.
So when the grid is filled, the students go back to their seats, and then I take the basket, and I'll go up to a student, and I'll say, can you pick a name from this basket?
Yeah. Oh, I get a chance. Yes, I'd love to. It says Sandy.
Sandy, okay? So Sandy would either wave or stand up and say her name.
My name is Sandy.
We need to take a timeout. We forgot about the frames. So before we pick from the basket, do you have the frames on the next slide?
Next slide.
I would write these on the board,
Okay.
especially if they're for beginners.
Yeah.
Because these are the things that when you stand up,
Yes.
you're going to say,
Okay.
my name is Pam. I'm from the United States of America. I've been here all my life, or over 50 years. How's that? But I leave the frames on the board for those that need that word banker.
Okay, so we pulled Sandy's name out of the basket. So Sandy.
My name is Sandy, and I'm from Massachusetts, and I've been there for 40 years.
Great.
Great.
Okay, so everybody will say, sometimes I say, okay, we're all going to say, nice to meet you, and we all say, nice to meet you. Then, on your bingo grid, where you have put Sandy's name, you put an X on it. So everybody X's off Sandy. Sorry, Sandy. And then I'll say to my students, when you get 3 in a row, you yell bingo. Okay, so we're going to see who gets bingo first, but we make sure that we do all the grids,
Fill them out.
fill
Fill
all
them
the, because you want each student to introduce themselves. So then I would, if we were in the classroom, I will let Sandy pick the next name. Okay, but she's not here, so we'll pick Jenny.
Ooh.
So Jenny, you would say?
My name is Jenny. I'm from Massachusetts. I've been here 11 years.
Okay,
Ooh.
great.
Not a beginner then.
Okay, so that you do that until the grid is all filled up with X's.
Cool.
So are there any questions, or have either one of you used this at all?
I have not ever used this before, but this is cool.
Does it seem easy?
Yes, I like
Okay, good.
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
don't need many materials, really.
Yeah.
it. No, it's great.
And you don't even have to make your own grid, just go into a word processing program and say you want a grid, however many by however many, and flat bingo on the top of it, and
Yeah.
you're
But
there.
even if you didn't know how many students you were going to have, you could demonstrate for them how to, it would be simple enough to do it.
Well, sure.
On the spot. Yeah.
When you get to class and you see
Yeah.
you've only got 5, then okay, you do a 2 by 3 or,
Right.
just on the whiteboard. Yeah.
Have a free space or
A
something.
free space, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what you kind of have to do. If you have more, you don't want to have too many, but you can have, if there's more than 9, say you have a grid of 9, but you have 12 students,
Okay.
you can go around until their board's filled, but you
Mhm.
just want to make sure that all 12 students get introduced
Get a
and
chance
the
to,
opportunity to
yes.
stand.
Yeah.
So you should have all the names of the 12 students in your basket.
Okay.
So until the basket is empty, you keep going,
Great.
basically. So then you haven't missed anybody. Does Cindy have any questions or comments?
She hasn't, no comments in the chat at this point, but if you do, Cindy, please put that in the chat. Now, let me ask you this. So you used it as kind of like an introductory activity.
Yes.
Could you use it to introduce other words too?
Oh, yes. You could do
Okay.
this for vocabulary words.
Okay.
Sure. There's a
Sure.
myriad of things you can
Okay.
use bingo for.
Mhm.
Great. Okay.
I also used it for when I taught, we call them describing words, but adjectives, and we were doing opposites. So
Okay.
we would put them in the bingo grid, one thing, and then I would give the opposite. So if I said thin, they had to find fat on their bingo grid.
Oh, okay.
And so if I said old, they would have to find young. But again, what I do is I try to review first by putting that on the board. I use the whiteboard a lot. So we would first talk about opposites and do it the old young so that they have the word bank on the whiteboard.
Cool.
And then we would play the bingo game. The bingo game is like an assessment for me to see that they really understand it. And even on this bingo grid the first day, I was able to assess in one of my beginner classes that there was a student who could tell me his name, but he couldn't tell me the letters of his name.
He could
When I
spell
said
he could spell his name.
write his name, but he could not spell it by the letters. So
Okay.
that told me right away, okay, we need to mix in the letters of the alphabet pretty early on. So you learn a lot from doing that as well.
Cool.
Okay?
Yep. Thank
All
you.
right, so we're going to move on to our second activity, which is a concentration game.
And this is for pairs or for groups of 3 if you have an odd number. Again, any level, because you can make it easy breezy or you can make it a little more difficult. And the materials are pretty easy. This one does require a little bit more preparation ahead of time, but once you've done it, you've got it and you can use it for years. So you need matching pairs of cards according to your topic. And sort of adding on to our bingo, we have a topic of where you're from, city, what country that is, and then what nationality that makes you. So we've just put together a part of a grid. So Henry was from San Salvador, which was in the country of El Salvador, and as we are called Americans, he's called a Salvadoran.
All right, let me.
Yep.
Okay. So when we, to start this, what I do is I make those lists on the board. So I have those 4 things on the board. And then I will talk to the first student. So the first student is Henry. So I'll say, Henry, what country are you from? And so this should be pretty, you know, he should know this by now. So he'll say El Salvador. And I'll say, oh, what's the capital city of El Salvador? San Salvador. Can you show that to us on a map? And I have a world map in our classroom. And I think it's great because generally you will have different students from different countries in the world, which is great geography lesson. And sometimes you're able to show them where their own country is. Because again, you'll see who knows the world and who doesn't know. So that's good. So then after they find them on the map, then I say, Henry, do you know your nationality? Well, they don't always know that word. So then I say, well, another word for country is nation. And then I show them nation, nationality, so that there's a similarity there. And as we make the grid on the board, I try to point out to them, if you look at the country El Salvador, and then you look at Salvadorian, they're similar. So usually there's part of the country's name in the nationality. And so as you start to do it, some of the students will try to guess what their nationality is if they don't know what it is in English. Does that make sense? So for the second student, I would say, Linda, what country are you from? She would say, Dominican Republic. Oh, what's the capital city of Dominican Republic? And she'll say, Santo Domingo. Can you show us that on the world map? So she'd go up and she'd point it out. And then I'd say, do you know your nationality? And if not, I would say, you're called Dominicans. And again, point out Dominican Republic, Dominican, the similarity there. So we continue on with the different ones. Now the cards that I made, Sandy has made slides of. And I'll just, so here they are. These are cards that I've made. Again, yes, it does take time initially, but what I did was I laminate them. They look like this. And so I made, I don't know, maybe 4 sets, because you'll always do it in pairs. So there depends how many you have in your class, but there's 8 students right there. If you make 5, you have 10. And then if you have more than that, you just put 3 in a group for what you have. So Sandy took pictures, but what I do was I say to the students, okay, now we're gonna play with the cards, and I put out on the table. And Sandy's gonna show you because I don't know that you can see me. I don't think she can see what I'm doing.
No, I don't think she can. Pam's putting the cards out on the table just the way the photograph is showing.
But we'll try. Okay, so they're all on the table, and then I'm going to say to Maddie, who's my partner, okay, Maddie, I want you to turn over 1 card.
Okay, it says,
And what does it say?
She's Dominican Republic.
Okay, so if someone doesn't remember what goes with, we're looking for the city, and we're looking for the country and the nationality. So if they can't remember, that's why I have it on the board. So I always try to provide some kind of word bank.
Okay,
so now I'll say, Maddie, pick another one and see if we can come up with the match.
They're Vietnamese.
Okay, so I'll say to the class, does that match?
No.
And if they're not sure, they look at the board. So then we turn them over again. And then I would take a turn, and mine says, Mr. and Mrs. Pham are from Hanoi. And so Maddie just turned that over, and if I can remember where it is, because they're supposed to be Vietnamese, yes, I got the Vietnamese. So these 2 match, so then I take them off the board. Now it's Maddie's turn to go, and she picks 2 to see if they match.
And I think, Sandy, you can progress, because there's the match.
Yes.
And then you take them off the board. So I just picked up one that says he's Salvadoran. She's South Sudanese. Is that a match? No, that's not a match.
So we keep going. Linda is from Santo Domingo, so I've got to find that Dominican
You have to find the Dominican Republic.
I think it's here.
That's right.
Okay, so we got another match. Oh, I should read it. She's Dominican. Okay, so are there questions? comments? Have you played this one?
I haven't played it.
You can just do it in so many ways. An elementary setting, I would put the word 3 and the number 3. You know, anything that you can make pairs out of, you can have the kids play. And if they can do concentration, they can also play Go Fish. You know, do you have any 3s? Or I have. He's from Sudan. Do you have Sudanese?
And I've also done it again with the adjective one, the opposites, where they have to match the old and the young, the tall and the short. That's another one that I've done. I've also done it with a picture of a job or an occupation and the word. So a picture of a doctor and the word doctor.
Cindy just asked to give examples using vocabulary. Let's say we're doing occupations. You could have the occupation like doctor, and you could have medicine, or you could have teacher, and you could do books. So there's an example of extending the vocabulary. Does that help, Cindy? Oh, good.
Do you usually do this as, pairs in a class, or do you play it together as a class? How do you?
I like to do it in pairs because then they're more involved.
Okay.
You want to get them speaking. That's why I have them read the cards. If you have too many in a group, then you get the ones that just watch. And so they learn more by doing. And by speaking. So
Jenny, I can see playing the game once with the whole class.
Just to show them how to
So they understand, and
Right.
then you release it, and you say, okay, I have 5 groups of pairs here.
Yeah, and I'll tell you that once that's what I do for the first time that we play the concentration. I usually bring them up around the table and they watch.
Okay.
But then when we do it again, like with the adjectives, they already know how to play
That's
the
right.
concentration part.
Yes.
So it's much easier. And they just say, oh, I've played that before.
Okay. So what you were doing at the beginning was more explaining to them what it is they're learning in this activity. Like they're learning that if you're from San Salvador, you're
Salvadoran.
Salvadoran. So you're kind of just explaining what it is they're learning. And
Right, and they
you
already
have the cards made. You would already have a
Yes.
quiz made. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah, that's before, yeah.
Okay.
Those are good questions. Yes, and I try to do it where they already know the country and they pretty much know what the capital is. So
Okay.
you're really just introducing nationality, but they feel pretty confident on the other ones. And most of them know where to point it out on the world map. And I always have a volunteer to help them, like they're holding the map. So if they don't know, then we just they're not up there a long time without help.
And it's confidence building because they're cognates. If you're from the Dominican Republic, you're Dominican, or if you're from San Salvador, you're Salvadoran. I mean, they already have 3 of those 4 syllables,
Right. Yes.
And it shows them how to link words too, like she just said, cognates is a big word, but they see that in each word. So that's why I point it out each time. So I'll say to them, if they don't know, like Vietnam, say, well, what do you think it is?
Mm-hmm.
And they'll say like Vietnamoran or whatever. That's a good guess.
Yes, right.
Like I'll say, that's close, yes. And then we go through, like there's Vietnamese and there's Chinese. So then there's that kind of ending that's the same. And so we kind of say those together. So if you can find patterns and point those out, I think that helps them as well.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
And that too, I think, helps with reminding us that, you said 40 minutes. So that game could take almost 20 minutes.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So,
And a good lesson plan would have at least 3 activities, if not 4.
right.
Planned.
That's good. Yeah. That's
Good.
Good.
Okay.
Any other comments,
Comments or questions?
Otherwise, we'll move to the next one.
All right.
Okay.
So this is pantomime/Pictionary, and it's for pairs or groups or the whole class. And it can be any level. And the materials are, again, a little bit of preparation ahead of time. You're going to want to make cards up with pictures or words or objects of your topic. Again, depending on what your 8 to 12 vocabulary words are for your lesson, for instance, it could be classroom instructions or classroom objects. It could be locations like grocery store, drugstore. It could be living room, dining room, kitchen, cellar. It could be running, jumping, swimming, you know, it could, any of these things.
But only one topic.
One topic, yeah.
And I'll point out that this particular one we chose was classroom objects, but you'll notice on my little word bank that there's 17, okay? So we're saying that perhaps you're not gonna always do all of them all at once. This is not just like a 1-week lesson thing. So I try to do 8, but then we review the 8, we might add 3 more if they've had a tough time with it. So you just keep adding on until you're reviewing the ones that you've done already. And I would kind of use this one, again, kind of as I call them assessments, kind of just so I know, are they getting it or not?
Right.
So what I would do is I would show picture.
Back up, if you could, Sandy, to the pictures. Oh, can you go back a slide? There you go.
So I would show one at a time, like this is this one. I walk around and say, does anybody know what number 4 is? And let them all look at number 4. Okay, and then when I get to the end, they'll say whatever it is. Then I write them on the board. I usually do them in order because they 1 through 17 that they know, but I just picked up this card. So number 4 is a book, notebook. Notebook, so we get to choose, there's a dictionary, number 17. So we get to talk about the differences between book, notebook, pen and pencil. I think pen is number 1. But a lot will say pencil. So then we talk about what's the difference between a pen and a pencil. Things like that, so that they can grasp it. So once those are on the board and they have the word bank, I pick a card and I have someone come up, usually someone who's more confident. So I'm picking Maddie, and I'm going to show her a picture, and I'm going to say, okay, I want you to draw this on the whiteboard. Now, none of you can see what she has.
No one else is looking.
So she would go up to the whiteboard, and she's going to start drawing. And I say to the class, as soon as you think you know what it is, just shout it out. So Maddie draws this.
Anyone ready to guess?
So I'll say, okay,
Cindy, you
draw
can
a
type
little
it
bit
in.
more. Draw a little more, Maddie.
Could be a face, but face isn't on our list of words, is it?
No, draw a little more.
So the next
Draw a little
picture
more.
looks like.
Whoa. Whoa.
Oh, globe. Jenny got
Good job. I say clap. So that's how it goes. So then the next person would come up, and I would show them a different picture.
That was for the really slow, you know.
So we were trying to think of how we could have you do this, but if I hold them up, you're all going to see them. So that's why we did it in this way. But then we would just go on to another one, and I might do number 15 and say, okay, Jenny, why don't you draw that for us? So she's going to draw a ruler. And as soon as people know, they shout it out.
Okay.
Yep.
Good.
So that's the, is that the Pictionary part, or is that the
Pictionary?
That's the Pictionary part.
I have done the pantomime. We can do that with classroom instructions. So I'll say, raise your hand. And everybody has to raise their hand. I'll say, please stand up. And everybody stands up. Please sit down. And then you can do it individually. You can say, Maddie, go erase the board.
Yeah.
So she would have to get up and go erase the board. I could say, Jenny and Cindy, please stand up and push in your chair.
Okay.
So these are ones that we've already gone over. Or you can see how, you can also use it to see what everybody knows. You can say, please stand up. And they'll look at each other. And then one will stand up, and then everybody else follows. But they're still learning.
Yeah.
And then I'll write that one on the board. So initially, after they do it, I do write it on the board. And then to kind of make it fun and interactive, you can just point to the ones you just wrote on the board in any particular order and see if they can do it. Another good one is point to the clock, point to the map. So you're kind of bringing in both the classroom activities, instructions with objects. So if I say point to the clock, I got the pointing, but hopefully they know what a clock looks like. Point to the globe. You know, point to the whatever's in your classroom.
Cool.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you done that? Anything like that?
They will now.
I've taught maybe 4 or 5 times now.
Okay.
So no, and I only have, the first time I taught, I had 1 student who was going to be in my class, and then 2 from another class joined because their teacher wasn't there. So I had 3 the first week, but every week since I've just had the 1 student.
Okay.
So I have not been able to see this sort of interaction between students. It's just been one-on-one.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But you can still do these in a pair. You're a pair, so that's good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you
Hopefully that'll
see?
always be the case.
Can you see these activities as being helpful to the topics that you're teaching? Okay.
Right.
Because that's our goal. Do you think that they're easy, that you could do them? Like, hopefully.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're good. Really good.
All right. So, Cindy, type in any questions or comments as well. Hopefully
So,
these are helpful.
we have number 4 is called add-on. And this is for groups or the whole class. So groups of 4 or the whole class. Any level. Beginning, again, you just make it a little more difficult for the advanced. And your materials are a whiteboard or chart paper for brainstorming. And we think that Sandy has set up a whiteboard for us here. Is that right, Sandy?
I do. Here we go.
Yay, okay.
Okay. So I would say today is Community Service Day. We've talked about community. What's a community? See if they remember.
That's a group of people who live and work close to each other.
Right. It's kind of like your neighborhood. Okay, so we're talking about a Community Service Day. So what are some things that that we could do in our neighborhood that would be helpful? And so we've put our things already up there. So I would say, so in my neighborhood, I'm going to be planting flowers.
And we had also talked about we were going to use the verb to be plus ing. So he is going, or he is planting, or I am planting. So
Okay, but that's after.
oh, that's after you've introduced this. Okay.
So first I'm going to have everybody come up with an activity that they think
Okay,
could happen in a community service day.
I
So
think
Maddie, what would you like to do?
I'm going to do picking up trash because it's a mess around my house.
Okay. Sandy, what would you like to do?
And I'm going to be painting the flower boxes.
Excellent. Jenny, do you have an idea of what you'd like to do?
I like the ideas you have right now.
Well, we have some windows to wash. Or we have some sidewalks to sweep.
Yes, I will wash the windows.
Wash the windows. Good for you. Okay.
And Cindy,
what would you like to do?
Can we put you down for painting the doorway? Sure. Thanks. What a good sport.
Okay. Good.
We'll provide the paint and the brushes.
All right. So this would come after us already.
Or cleaning the storm drain.
Oh, good for you. That's a good one. But you would do, each student would come up with some kind of activity. And you can see, Jenny, that was perfect. You just help them. If they're like, just go deer in headlights, you just start, what could you do with the leaves, or, there's probably whatever coming around. So that's perfect. So you make sure every student has listed an activity. And then we've been working on subject pronouns, if you remember. So instead of me saying Pam, I would use what word? I wouldn't say Pam is planting flowers. I would say I am planting flowers. So I might put the I am on the board because this is one of the things that they're going to need to use. And so this is what we're going to do. I'm going to start, and we're all going to say, today is Community Service Day. So let's all say that together. Today is Community Service Day. Good. So my turn, I'm going to say, today is Community Service Day. I am planting flowers. And Maddie is going to
Says,
start with
Today is Community Service Day.
and she's going to say, Pam is planting flowers, and I,
am picking up trash.
so she says both. She says mine, and then she adds on her own. And I keep these on the board because we're going to get, if you have a big class, they tend to forget. I tend to forget. So Sandy, you would say,
Today is Community Service Day. Pam is planting flowers.
good.
Maddie is picking up trash, and I am painting the flower boxes.
Well done. Okay. Jenny?
Yes, today is Community Service Day. Pam is planting flowers. Maddie is picking up trash. Sandy is painting the flower boxes, and I am washing the windows.
Excellent.
Good job.
Cindy gets the best job. She gets to do all of ours.
Well, let's do it with Cindy,
So,
okay?
and we could do that too. Okay, so we'll all say them. Ready? Today
Today is Community Service Day. Pam is planting flowers. Maddie is picking up trash. Sandy is painting the flower boxes. Jenny is washing the windows. And Cindy is cleaning the storm drain. Or if Cindy were speaking, she would say, I am cleaning the storm drain.
Cool.
Okay, so that just gets them again speaking, which is what you want them to do. And if you feel like somebody's shy, you can always either do it with them or have two of them planting flowers. Or you can all say today is Community Service Day, because sometimes it's just getting them all started. So you can say every time we start with somebody, we're all going to say
Today is Community Service Day.
So those that don't speak will at least feel like they can say it 8 times
So
if there's 8 students.
If Sandy were shy and you'd say, okay, Sandy, why don't you pick up trash with Maddie? Then we would have to figure out that it's we are picking up trash.
No, because you already know your students. So if I know Sandy's not going to say anything, I'm going to say, all right, what could Maddie and Sandy do together? They could pick up trash. So I'm going to put on the board, Maddie and Sandy picking up trash. So Sandy's going to go, and you might do it with whoever's right next to her. You got to know your students. So, you know, and again, that's just
But you're going to give,
teacher.
are you going to give them the verb though? You know, instead of I am, we are, or not?
Yeah, because we've done this.
Because you've done it.
Yeah, and that would be another right on the board when we get to Maddie and Sandy, because when everybody, they could say Maddie and Sandy. Yeah.
Are going to, yeah.
And then as it gets harder with other ones, instead of putting, like if I was doing it, I could say I am planting flowers, but I could say, if it was Maddie and Sandy, I would have to say they are picking up trash. When I get to Jenny, she is washing the windows. Cindy, she is cleaning the storm drain. If we have a Brian, he is raking leaves. So then you are practicing the pronouns as well. So that's for, you know, more advanced beginners or whatever you think your students are ready for.
Okay, I think
that can work for any, I mean, it's not just Community Service Day. I think.
Do you have any other ideas right on the top of your mind other than today is Community Service Day?
What was that trunk thing?
Oh, well, it's the old grandfather's trunk, and you go through the alphabet, and my grandfather's taking a trip, and he put in an apple, and then, you know, an apple and a banana, an apple, banana, carrot, you know, that kind of thing.
Another thing that I've done is, it tends to do with the first letter of their first name. So I might say, my name is Pam, and I love peaches. And then Maddie would say, oh, this is Pam.
This is Pam. She loves peaches. I'm Maddie. I love mangoes.
Okay.
And then you keep going around.
Sandy?
What was that?
I love pineapples.
Oh, no, sweetie. It's got to start with S.
That's right. Oh, I'm sorry.
This is Pam. She loves.
What does Pam love?
Pam loves peaches. Maddie
loves mangoes.
Sandy loves
sarsaparilla.
Sarsaparilla.
Leave it to her.
There's one in every crowd.
And Jenny, what do you love?
Jello.
Hello. Okay.
Then we could get, yeah.
Cindy likes chocolate, I'm sure, or coffee, or what's the soft S?
Did Cindy write something in? I saw it.
Cindy says, would you use "we are going to clean"?
We are going to clean for what?
So,
When you
so
go
if
back to
Cindy and Jenny, you paired them together, then they would say we are going to clean. Yeah, going to clean, it just happens to have an extra verb to it. You know, I questioned whether I should be using picking up because of the preposition up next to picking, but yeah, you just present it, and you don't have to give any grammar rules. You just say this is how you say it.
And this one, we were particularly focusing on the pronouns and also the present continuous, which is the verb to be plus ing words.
Mm.
But again, Cindy, I would say if your students are ready to do more than one thing, then you could change out the names for the subject pronouns. So if there's two of them and you're one of them, then you have to say we. But if you're talking about somebody else, they would have to say they.
They, right.
And that just is a little more complicated, but complex, I should say, not complicated.
Good.
Okay,
Good feedback.
do we have time for one more, Sandy? Oh, no, we don't. Is it 26 or we do?
Well, we
Okay.
have all the other things to do.
We can
Girls on the schedule.
Okay.
Would you like one more or would you like us to stop?
I'm enjoying this.
One more? Okay, one more.
This is a great one. This is an easy one too.
This is very little prep. It's called Line Up in a Certain Order, and it's for the whole class. And
Again, this is when your other sheet came in, Andy.
yeah, and it's any level, and really the only materials are half a piece of paper, a 5x8 card,
And markers.
and markers.
Okay, so I would just say to you on your piece of paper, write your first name. Okay, so everybody would write their first name. And then when everybody has their name written on their piece of paper, you're gonna hold them up. Can't see you.
Mine's bigger.
I know, well, I just grabbed a piece of paper. Mine is, it's 3 letters.
Mine's on my phone.
Okay, so if we were all in the same room, I would say, and again, this is classroom instructions, please stand up and push in your chairs. So we would all do that. And then I would say, okay, let's show everyone your card, your name on your card. And we're gonna put us, we're gonna put us in order, alphabetical order. So it's good to have your name up there so that they can look at all the first letter of your first name. So we're gonna try to put everybody in alphabetical order. So because we're on the internet, we can't really stand, but whose name would go first?
Mine would. It's M.
No, we have Cindy. Hello.
Hello.
Cindy would go first. And then who would go next?
Jenny.
Jenny would come next to Cindy. So if we're doing it here, we would just sit.
If you're all in the same room, you can do it, but
We do that, okay? So then after you do that, you take another piece of paper and you say to them, like this, I do it as progressively gets harder. So another one I would do was, okay, write your birthday month and the day of the month of your birthday on your card. Okay. Hopefully somebody, well, I won't say hopefully. So here's mine. I used your bingo thing, sorry. Okay, so we got June and we got September. Does somebody else have June or September, I hope? No. Sandy is October. No?
October.
Cindy? Well, hopefully you do. No. With beginners, maybe it's best you don't. But if we had 2 in June, then you...
February. Okay. So
February, we're in February.
February would be first.
To you.
And Jenny, what's your birthday? July.
Okay.
So we would have Cindy first, and then June, and then July. And Sandy, we don't know where you are.
She's October.
Oh, she's October, so September, me, and then Sandy.
Yeah.
Okay. If you have the same month, if you were July 23rd and I was July 2nd, then you go by the numbers. So show them how to do that. If you have, like we had when I did it with, you can do it by the name of their countries. You can do it by how long they've been here to put them in order. It's good to do both letters and numbers, because if they're not good in English, you'll often find they're really good in math. So it gives them a little more confidence. But I like to do it where you have like Maddie and Mark. So then that one's a hard one, because you have to go M-A, but they're both M-A, so then you got to go D to R. But that's kind of how you can also teach ABC order. And many of your students you might find are very intelligent, and from their native country, they've got their degree in something. So they're just learning the English alphabet to put the pegs on. And so once they do that, it's pretty remarkable, the growth that you see once you've helped them create some pegs. So any questions on that one? So you have any, oh, here we go. Have any favorite ones you have used or ones that you feel that you can implement from tonight?
We feel like we've just scratched the surface on this, and that there are many more, but we were trying to keep it within a 60-minute time frame. So
so promises of more to come.
Promises of more to come. And
would you like to see more?
Yes.
Have we wet your whistle?
Yes.
Good.
Well, we have.
Yes. Oh, good.
Oh,
thanks.
yeah.
Helpful. Yes.
Thank you. More good news coming up, we hope.
Yeah. So we do have some training planned, and we are here to promote, tell you to spread the word. May 29th to 30th, noon 2 o'clock, is it? I think it's afternoon, May 29th, which is a Friday, and we'll go through until about 8:30 Friday night, and then Saturday, 9 to 2:30 or 3. It's an 11-hour certification that covers everything we've covered tonight, but more in terms of what to do during a class. But it's going to cover also how to set up a ministry, how to work with pronunciation when you're teaching your class, how to deal with cultural differences. Really,
testimony, how to put in biblical material, lots of other things that we're forgetting.
Yeah.
But
so, and that's going to be at the BCNE in Northborough, Mass.
And we'll be sending more information. One of the things we're doing these next few days is talking about what the schedule, exactly what all that will look like, and, putting some promotion out there and all of that stuff. So.
And I expect we'll continue to do a monthly teaching.
Webinars. Yeah, absolutely.
But this is just an opportunity, if you're working with a team and they want to know more and, become more proficient, this training is going to be offered May 29th, 30.
Yeah, and we will send out all of the details, but wanted you to mark your calendars.
Nice. I was also wondering, during the last meeting, you mentioned a hybrid class that you do homework for the month, and then there's like a 4-hour in-person follow-up to that. Right.
We'll let Sandy talk about that.
Okay.
And yes, Cindy, the class is for both beginning and advanced ESL learners. We set you up with a lesson plan that can be adapted either way, either for beginners or for advanced. So the answer to your question is yes, it's both beginners and advanced.
But you also get a manual that will be really helpful.
A take home.
That we basically go by chapter and kind of hit the highlights for you. But you get to take that manual home with you, which is pretty valuable.
Very valuable, yeah. And Sandy, do you want to speak about the hybrid course?
Sure. We are just implementing that here in New England, making that an option. So we're we're starting to test it out. So I was the first guinea pig, and in November I did the class, the online class, and I have to say that it does take more than 11 hours. It takes you got to do homework, and it's driven by internet. You have to wait for homework assignments and all that type of stuff. So, but it's a good option for people who don't want to spend the 2 days. However, we would have to work out a time in order for that 4-hour, in person, face-to-face meeting to happen. And that's one of the things we're going to be talking about, in the next couple of days, is how we're going to do that in New England. We probably will offer it a couple of times a year, and for people to take the hybrid class, and then we would schedule a time and
mutually convenient. We'll work with the people that have done the online portion.
You wouldn't do both of these things then?
Yes.
Would do the you could, okay, because that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I could use help. I could use any training, so I thought they might be different things. So you could do and get you could get something out of doing both things, the hybrid course and the May 29th through 30th.
Well, it's basically the same thing.
Okay, so you would do one or the other.
Well, right, I think so.
Yeah,
The hybrid, you're going to do you have like a month to finish it all.
Right.
But you can decide when you're going to work on that during that month. So, and you have certain assignments that would be put online, and then there would be someone that would read them over, give you feedback on it, whatever. And then once you finish that month thing, then we would get a time that we could get face-to-face, and you would do the 4 hours live. And that's more things like that you have to do in front of one another, that you can't really do it over the internet.
I would say it's the same material, different format.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I would probably just do the May 29th. I probably just assumed do that,
Yeah.
Right.
But I didn't realize it was basically the same thing.
Right.
So that's good. That's good to know.
Yeah. And, and the other options for training certainly are the webinars, and you could go back to the bcne.net/ESL and check out any of the webinars that you didn't get to be a part of. And there's some good information in those as well. So,
Jenny, where are you teaching? What situation?
At Park Street Church.
Park Street in Boston?
Yes. So I work part-time as a pharmacist, and I have Tuesdays and Thursdays off, and my son is 3.5. He'll be 4 in June. And so I was looking for something to do, and I've been thinking about reaching out to a missionary friend to see if there was some way I could help her on Tuesdays or Thursdays when we're home. And she said she's the one who mentioned that she does, she helps out with ESL at Park Street. And so I just kind of stumbled into all of this. But the church, I'm part of a church plant in Belmont, Beacon Community Church, and we do monthly. We meet at a movie theater, so we show movies once a month, and we see a lot of people, internationals who could really benefit from this. So the hope is to kind of get the training, at Park Street and see what they do and then maybe, offer something at our church. So
nice.
That's kind of the direction God's taken it so far.
Awesome.
So we'll see.
Is that
Cindy? I'm wondering if Cindy could type in if she's working with ministry at all or teaching ESL.
Yeah, she asked if the class was a beginner class, beginning ESL, and yes, any of the training that we offer is certainly one that we share about how to start your own ESL. So it's very, very basic. So good. Very good. All right, so any more Q&A, any more questions and answers? We're going to give away an Oxford Picture Dictionary. So get in your text box there, your chat box. Jenny, you can give us outside there. You can, but again, it's a number So it's a percentage. So what percentage of the U.S. residents speak a foreign language at home? And a number between 1 and 100, because it's a percentage. So let's see. What do we have? Cindy guesses. Okay, 23%.
That's probably too high.
Oh, that's
actually.
Jenny? Jenny,
Yeah,
23. Okay.
I don't know. That's probably too high. I don't know.
Without going over. So let's.
Oh no.
All right. Well, guess again. Guess again before I close it. So we have a 32.
You have to have them both do it again.
You both are too high, so it's
Okay.
under 23%.
We want to give this dictionary away.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's under,
Great resource.
under 23%. You're both too high. So try again, Cindy, and try one more time, Jenny.
All right.
Okay, so Cindy says 16, and Jenny says...
Drum roll.
I just have to be not.
You're
So I
funny.
think it's between 16 and 23. Less than 16.
All right. So
All right. I'll go with 17.
17%.
She watches Jeopardy.
No, she watches as The Price is Right.
The Price is Right.
All right, and the answer is
Jenny, you were pretty close.
22%. So Jenny is the closest without going over. So Jenny, you get the dictionary. So very good, very, very good.
Thank you.
All right, all right. So we'll send you that, and here's our contact information if you want to contact us. And if you haven't joined our Facebook group, you might want to do that at BCNE English as a Second Language Ministry. And I think, Cindy, you were kind this past weekend, and you shared that awesome map, I think, right?
Yes, that
Yes.
was fabulous.
Yeah, we thought it was fabulous. So, we want to be more interactive that way. That was an awesome map that you shared. So that was awesome. And of course, we have your information, and we'll let you know about other things that we're doing. And so we're just glad you could join us tonight. We hope that it was helpful. And, we look forward to, we'll let you know what we're going to be doing in March, because we'll be doing another one on a Monday night in March. And so we'll let you know. So, Maddie, you want to close us in prayer, and we'll say
Be
goodnight.
happy to. Be happy to. Father, we thank you that you have the victory over the technology tonight. We thank you that we got to finish